air is very dense and emits antennas everywhere to help hide the frequency.
When we raise the frequency, what happens?
It clears the path and it takes away the clutter so that humans can see better. Takes the veil away, the lies away.
And what's behind the veil?
The truth.
What kind of truth?
The love that's around us. The connections, the fibers of connection.
Hi there, beautiful people. For all those that don't know me, my name is Celia, and I enjoy talking about metaphysics and spiritual topics. So, welcome to my channel. I also read tarot cards, and I'm learning to read the Akashic records as well. And today, I want to come to you to speak to you about my experience with hypnosis. So today is the 21st of September of 2024, September 21st, 2024. And I had this therapy session on the 19th of September, so 2 days ago. My experience was very interesting, and I want to walk you through everything that I went through the session, what I saw, what I felt, and all the details that comes into that. So I'm going to ask you to bear with me, as this might be a long video, and it's a lot of information that I'm going to pull out there as I recall everything. The whole session was recorded, the hypnosis part of it, and so I had been trying to listen again to it and recall a lot of the things that I saw and felt. So I've been on a spiritual journey for the past, I would say, 6 years or something like that. And I have studied spiritism with a group in Brazil, and that's how I sort of started in the spiritual path. And before that, actually, I practiced a lot of the Sadhguru meditations, and that kind of got me into this kind of experiences of meditating and coming to my center. I had a lot of religion conditioning has to these kind of practices, so I had to go through a lot of getting rid of my beliefs and making myself feel comfortable with meditating and doing these kind of practices. So I have come a long road, a long way until today, and I know that I'm still rediscovering myself and still getting rid of a lot of other conditionings that I still have. And as I go, I try to get out of this spiritual closet and hopefully share it with other people that might find it helpful. And there is no one way or path for everybody. Everybody creates their own, and everybody has their own way to rediscover themselves. So maybe some people might feel very connected to me, and then later on they might move on to another person that gets connected at that, from what they're facing at that moment in their life. So the reason why I wanted to have the hypnosis session, I don't feel I have gotten to a point now that I have worked so much my shadows and a lot of things that I had uh, towards my relationship myself and my relationship with God and my relationship with with myself and with everybody else. And I have gotten to a point that I feel very comfortable with everything that I have become and that I have learned. But I have two special needs children, and I always had certain questions around them and certain questions about their conditioning and if they, if they can heal, and if they can, how I can enhance their life, if there's anything I can do to heal them, etc. So I thought, okay, a lot of the Dolores canon material has come to me in the past few months, and I have been absorbing a lot of her information, a lot of the messages that she left behind before she died. I haven't read any of her books, but I have seen a lot of her workshops online, as well as the metaphysical hour for the radio station that she used to provide, like a chatting session there. And um, and I started becoming very curious about this whole hypnosis thing and her techniques. So I went to her website and found a therapist that was working in this area, and she's the one that provided the session for me. So if you're interested about knowing about it, and if you want to get in touch with this therapist specifically that I did the session with, I'm going to put her information on the description bar. But you can also go to the Dolores website, um, uh, and it's a QHHT, I think it is Quantum Healing Hypnosis Therapy, QHHT .com website, and you'll find a therapist that is near your area that you can work with this method that Dolores thought and left behind before she passed away. So I'm going to go back now into the juicy part, which was my session, and is very interesting. So I gave you all that background about me to help you understand a little bit as to my mentality now and the way that I see things and the way that I experience things, because um, it's extremely different, and I feel like I'm very close to start channeling messages. I think I have done it in the past, and it just comes to me. Although I sometimes, like, I guess every channel gets this channeler gets this big question mark, as if it's something that is coming from me, or I just made it up, or so. I've been working on trusting myself and trusting my instincts, and just letting the message flow through. So this whole session was sort of like that, and I felt I started feeling like my muscles towards the end, like it was kind of like they were contracting, relaxing, and this was when she was doing like the healing part of it. Um, and after the session, and I will go over this again once I talk to you about everything that happened throughout the session. But after the session, the therapist said, "Oh, you're gonna feel tired, so make sure you rest, make sure you take care of yourself." And and I thought, okay, cool, but that's exactly what happened. I was extremely tired on Friday, and I'm still feeling very tired today. It was kind of like I felt like around my head it was like this heaviness, and I know that it was a lot of energetic exchange that was happening throughout the session. And as I listened to the session again that was recorded, it's very interesting because that feeling comes back, and then I have to stop and take care of myself, relax, just breathe, and and absorb what I just heard again, and kind of like let my body get itself adjusted to the energy, because there's a lot of energy levels that increase throughout the whole session. So when the session starts, she's starting out by making myself comfortable and relaxing and feel secure, feel safe, and then she will bring me. She put you kind of sort of like on a cloud, and the cloud will bring you back to the life. It's a regression, a life past life regression. So you will go back to the past life regression that it's meant for you to see at that moment.
It's a home in the middle of a big property in the mountain, like at the skirt of a mountain. Very humble home.
And the first life regression that I saw was myself as a little girl. At first, I didn't realize I was a little girl, but I knew I was a female, and I couldn't see my body too well. I just the first thing that I saw was the gravel road, and then when I look up, I saw like big hills, at the kind of like at a distance, and I could see the fences were made out of like just like wooden sticks with the wire, so I could see like a big hilly area here and a big hilly area here and a little tiny house in the middle. So she brought me to the house. That was my house, and it was super humble. It was made out of wood. I gave a lot of description about the house. It was like extremely humble, like, and it was just one bedroom. um, Most things were made out of wood, and I remember the bed was there and at the wall of the bed. It had like a little picture frame. I couldn't see exactly who it was or what was in the picture frame, but in on the regression, I saw my mother. So I believe I was just living there with my mother, and we were living out of the land, and I spent a lot of time just outside, with the animals and on the field, and she brings you to a special day for that regression, and one or two special days for that regression, and then she brings you back to how you pass on that life. And I saw myself very old, just passing on a bed. But at that point, when I was very old, passing, I had a lot of people around me, so it I could. And then she asked you, what do you learn about this lifetime, and what was the lesson there? So the lesson was kind of like communication and getting in contact with nature, contact with anything that was alive. And then the second part and this second life was very interesting. When she brought me there, I didn't know if I should say, but then I thought, okay, I'm just gonna say what I see, because it is what I see. I'm not gonna. So I saw myself in a big spaceship, and it had like, it was like round and really really big, and it had windows, all across. And then uh, from the window, I could see that there was like a giant planet or moon. I don't know what it was, and it was kind of whitish, grayish, from the picture that I could see from the spaceship. And then she asked me to see my body, and my body was completely different. I could see myself with three long fingers, with like, they were like really really long, and then it had like a giant, like this area over here was round and big, but there were three long fingers. And then I said to her, my skin is very moist, you know and she asked me what color it was. So I said, well, it's like a brownish gray. And then she asked me if if I eat, or something about food. And I said, well, I don't eat, and and it's interesting because the feeling of it was like I didn't need anything. It was like, I don't know, it was strange, because not feeling, not needing food. It was just, I don't know how to explain it to you, but the whole feeling of it was different. So I knew I was very, very tall, and I said, well, I'm about 2 meters tall. She asked me how tall I was, and I could feel that my head was very elongated. And uh, and then she's like, well, what are you doing there in the spaceship and everything? During the whole session, I gave her as many details as I could, but there were so many things that I was experiencing that it's kind of hard to put into words. So I knew that I was there all by myself for maybe what could have been my entire life. And my mission there was to stay in that specific planet or moon, I don't know, because I was waiting for life to come out.
I found a growth on that planet or moon.
You found gold?
A growth,
Oh, okay.
like a sprout.
Okay. What are you going to do with it?
Nothing, just see it
Oh, okay.
and document it.
What do you do with the information you collect?
Inform and document it
Okay.
and follow up.
How long do you stay there to observe that?
I don't stay, but others may come later in the future to watch it grow.
Oh,
And when she brought me to the special day in that life, it was when I found a sprout coming out of the land. It was like something sprouting out, like a little plant. And I was very excited. So she said, what do you do with it? And I said, well, I just put it on my database and I inform my civilization. And then she said, okay, let's go, move forward to the time that you know how you left that life. And
so we're going to go forward to the day of your death in the lifetime we're looking at. You may be an observer. What is happening?
It's like a ceremony.
For you?
Yes, but it's kind of like I just transfer.
Oh, okay. How did you do that?
I just see like another head in front of me, and I transfer, like I just move to the other head.
Okay. So you will not have any physical sensations. Whatever has already happened. And from that point, you can look back at that life. Every life has a lesson and a purpose. What did you learn from that life?
Communication,
Okay.
patience, and the word severance comes in.
so she brought me to that part, and I could see myself laying down, and this part is very interesting, and I don't know how to explain it to you, but it was not. It was like a ritual that they had, and everybody was around. You know, like all the beings that were the same race as me were around, and they were just there, kind of, sort of doing like a ritual, and then there was another being that would come right on, like I was laying down, and then it would come like in front of me, and the head will be here, and then I just transmit myself to that new body. So it was really not a death, like like I would leave, and I would just move on to another body, and that was kind of interesting, And then she said, "Well, what was the life lesson for this?" And then I said, "Okay, communication, contact with nature, and contact with others." And then I said, and the word severance comes to me. I don't know why severance comes to me. If you don't know me, English is my second language, and I have used or seen this word before only for employment when you get a severance payment, but I didn't know the full meaning of severance, and I'm gonna look it up and put it on the video, as a description. But when later on, when I couldn't remember the word after the therapy session, I was like, I need to wait and re-listen to it. So as I was listening to it again, I was like, oh, severance, that's the word. So I went and looked it up, and I was pretty amazed to see that severance means when when you separate from one thing from another. So both lives that was shown to me show me this separation, because I was completely isolated on that planet. Same thing for the little girl, like I was just living on a field, and with my mother, and there was really no one around. And uh, it's interesting because in the past few years I've been called to put a lot of more material out there, and and of course I have to go through so many of my conditioning and fears that, like, well, what if people think I'm crazy, what if people think that my content is not good, or what if people are not interested on what I have to say, all of these things have come in. And then at the end of that session, the therapist said, well, there is one big topic, and the big topic was the communication, and like, getting, and I thought, wow, that's very interesting, So then after that life regression, she brought me to a part that had to do with my higher consciousness, or higher self, or however you wanna, or you refer to it. So it's the superconscious higher self, or there's another word for it. I forgot. But anyways, so she asked for my super consciousness to come in and talk on my behalf. And at this point, like the whole sensations, it started shifting in my body. So I started feeling a lot of numbness around my body, and like this big, heavy energy just around this whole area. And so you know, I would sometimes retract and get very tense, and then relax, retract and very. So she started asking to scan my whole body, and the first thing that I mentioned, it was me speaking, but it's kind of like my higher consciousness speaking. So it was the neck, like you feel like a lot of tension on the neck. So I started relaxing the neck. So there were a lot of interesting things in here that came out. So I'm gonna try to talk to you a little bit about the things that I recall, because that's the part that I had to stop and kind of rest on Friday, because as I was feeling all this energy here, and I thought, okay, I know I'm getting like all this energy from from source or from a higher self, but it was becoming a little too much, and so I had to stop, and then I had to rest for the rest of the day, and I was pretty much resting that whole day. It was, I mean, I don't really rest at all. Sometimes I take a nap throughout the day if I get up early during the week for my children to go to school, but that's about it. Like the rest of the day, I'm just always going and going and going. And yesterday it was too much for me. And Thursday after the session, and yesterday Friday. So at night it was feeling too much, and I didn't want to take medication like a pain reliever or anything like that, because I thought I don't want to mess up this whole thing with just medication. And I thought, okay, I'm just gonna take it because it's becoming I'm getting a headache now. And so I did, and I feel like probably my guys or my higher self kind of also adjusted energy level so that I could have a good night rest and wake up relieved today. And I've been feeling it on and off today. And it's interesting because I thought, okay, I really need to make this video, so because everything is so fresh in my mind. I don't want to, and later on in the future, I'm gonna see this video and I'm gonna recall so many things, because it's important to have a record of this. So I a lot of the contact with nature came out, and I thought, okay, my children are at home and they're making a lot of noise. Sometimes they scream and they like are playing and everything. So I thought, okay, well, I need to do this in a peaceful area where I'm not gonna get bothered. There's not gonna be many noises from the outside. So I came outside here, and as soon as I stepped outside, I feel completely different. Like my energy kind of like realigned with the nature. So I thought, okay, well, maybe it's meant for me to be out here talking about this experience, and letting the sun and letting the light kind of adjust my energy levels in my body. Okay, so going back to the therapy session, so she started asking my higher self to bring healing in the areas that needed healing. So I talk about my heart chakra and how the vortex sometimes get clogged or get blocked. So my superconscious or higher self started working in that area as well as my neck. And then later on, I started working on my legs, and I started feeling like just like tinglings in my head. I mean, in my legs. And she asked, so I you probably don't know this about me, but I have triplets, and I also have a 5-year-old. The triplets are 10 as of 2024, and my 5-year-old. So they're all boys, and when I had the triplets are the ones that have special needs, especially two of them. And so I told her in the interview, when I was talking to her at the beginning, I told her that I had trouble conceiving children, and I had polycystic ovary syndrome, when that was like the condition that the doctor prescribed, not prescribed, yeah, diagnosed me for. So she asked about this. She said, okay, so why did she have polycystic ovary syndrome? And it's interesting because the answer that came was, well, it was to protect her. And then the therapist said, protection, what, why? And then the answer was like, so that she would not get pregnant until it was the right time. And this is interesting because I had times that I could have gotten pregnant in the past with the wrong person. And it didn't happen, and I can see that. I can totally see that now. I was thinking, oh my god, this is insane, because for the my guys, or my higher self knew that I was gonna conceive triplets, and it was not any person that needed to be by my side. It needed to be a specific person, and I can see that, because my husband is is an incredible dad, and it's an incredible husband, and he, I mean, he, I'm sure there are other good guys out there, but he's perfect for this job. So anyways, so I thought, okay, well, this is interesting, yeah, I needed a specific special person that would be a good dad for my children, and also a good husband, for the help and everything that I need, because geez, having triplets, and then on top of that, having two that have real serious health needs is not something that is easy. And so that was interesting, And then I told her about a time when I was a child, and I experienced, I was maybe like 5 years old, and I used to pee on my bed around that time, still peeing in my bed. So my mother will put a plastic underneath the bed sheet, and every time that you would get on the bed, like you could hear the crinkling of the plastic. So I was already in bed, and I used to sleep in the same bedroom as my parents, that my parents' bed, and then my bed was here right next to the window. And I remember that we were already in bed, and everybody, the lights were out. I could still see some light coming from the window, but And then as I was falling asleep, I could hear the crinkling of my bed, and towards my foot. And then I look up, and then I saw my brother. It looked like my brother, and he's 2 years older than me, and but he was glowing, like all his body was glowing, and he had like a fixed look towards me, and I was like, what is this? I was only 5 years old, and I got really, 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 really scared. So I started screaming and crying. My dad came and got me and everything, and then so the therapist asked about this. Oh, so I have to tell you this other part also, because it's so much. This is a lot of information. So before the triplets, I got pregnant, and I was only pregnant for 9 weeks. Then I had a miscarriage, and then like 2 months passed by, and then I conceived the triplets. So I told her about this, and she asked me if I named this child, and I said, yeah, I named him. I said him, but I don't know if it was a boy or a girl, and I named the child Ariel, because it's a unisex name. So she said, okay, cool. So she asked about this creature that I saw when I was 5 years old to my superconscious, and the superconscious said, oh, this was Ariel. And then she said, oh, okay. And then the answer as to why he showed up in there is like because she needed to understand at that point that there was another dimension other than the one that she was at. And then she asked if he was one of my guys, and then I said yes, he's one of my guys. So I thought, oh, that's interesting. Okay, so keep that in mind, because then later on you're gonna understand something else that happened. So then she went ahead and started asking questions about my kids,
And these three triplets are specific for coming to Earth.
Yes.
And these three triplets are specifically working together at this time in space. Is that correct?
Yes.
Whenever they can see the different frequencies, how are they going to help others with these frequencies?
People receive without knowing. They get the benefit without knowing, like just being around. but just looking at them or interacting with them.
So they're helping the people who interact with them?
Yes.
Including the medical staff?
Yes.
And the kids at school?
Yes.
Okay. And what's the reason for that?
Even if they don't interact.
Well, that's good.
She asked about, she said, well, she has triplets, and as soon as she started moving on to my children, I started seeing like this triad, like a triangular, like a triad. And then she said, well, why were the triplets, why did they come here? And they said, well, it's a triad and they complement one another, and they are here to anchor energy. They have to, the work has an antennas to anchor higher levels of energy. And then she said, but why do they have to do this? And they say, well, they chose to do that because right now it's needed on earth to have antennas all over that anchors higher levels of energy. And she asked why my son Gabriel, why is he nonverbal? Why does he have autism? Why is he autistic? And why does he get hives? And when she said that, I could see a pyramid, and the pyramid was kind of like steaming, had a lot of steam coming out of it. And what I could explain from that is that, there's a lot of steam, a lot of things that need to be released from it. So then she asked about Michael. Michael is the one that has the lesser amount, and he can walk, he can do a lot of things, But Michael just sort of have a little bit of irritation in his femur, and then and if there's any healing that he can have done, and then I said, well, yes, but the healing comes all together. Like when one progress, the other two will progress. So it was kind of interesting because I have seen that throughout my entire life with them. Like it's just, when one of them hits something, like the other two comes along. Like it's just magical. Like the way that they communicate too, and the way that they hit goals, or like the way, when one moves forward towards something, the other one does too automatically. Is they are super connected. So and then after she asked if there could be any healing done, and they said that well, when I said they, I mean my superconscious or higher self, or whoever was speaking on my behalf, said that the healing will come gradually. That when it's at the right time, it will come, and it will come gradually. That it's coming, but it's coming gradually, and it until it hits the right time. And then they said, well, what is the purpose of then having disabilities? And they said, well, because a lot of people benefit from them, by just being around them. They don't have to interact with them at all, but just being around them will help them, with their frequencies and their vibrational levels. So, and then she said, well, does that include the doctors and the nurses? I said, yes, everybody. So it was kind of interesting to see that, and then she asked if sometimes the frequencies bothers them, and they said yes, if the frequency is corroded, or is not a frequency that they, that is in line with everything else. Um, so that was very interesting, and then she asked why I had that pregnancy, that I was talking to you, the first pregnancy and the miscarriage. And then this is the part that I was like, oh my God. So they said that that was Ariel that came in, in my womb, because it needed to lighten it up, kind of like bring light to it and kind of get it ready for the triplets. So, I mean, when I heard that, I was like, wow. I mean, wow. it's just, I don't know. It's like, okay. So, anyways, I'm hoping I'm not leaving anything out. It's so much information that you know, I the more that I try to go over it, it's like I bring more and more out. And what else did she ask? She asked about healing for myself. Oh, one thing that she's asked is if I was a heal, like, what was my life purpose and everything. So I came here to make connections, of course. Like the whole topic was connection, and also to bring out my gifts. One of my gifts was that I could. Um, and it went back to the alien, that the alien was manipulating the spaceship with its mind, and also with the fingers, kind of like, so she asked if that was one of my gifts, and they say yes. She can manipulate things with her will and her mind. So I guess I'm gonna have to work on that. And then they said also that I can heal, with my hands and my eyes. And also, she didn't grasp this, but I did. It was something that had to do with the air and the breath. So and then later she asked about how I can do this, and then they said by using my voice. And I love singing. You probably don't know this part about me, but I love singing, and I do a lot of karaoke, and I have a singing group and everything. So it's I was thinking, wow, this is interesting, and I've been meaning to upload more meditations that involve singing. So yeah, so maybe that's where my calling is, and or part of my calling. And then what else did she say? It's so much, guys, like it's so much. So anyways, I I feel so I've been feeling this blast of energy around this area. Oh, and my third eye chakra. They mentioned something about my third eye chakra, about with the healing stuff, using my third eye chakra, using the air, through my singing, and also something about the air and my hands, and my will, and thoughts, like thoughts and mental, state. So, oh, something super important. So she asked about, she asked if they could show me and I can't remember how she said it, but she said something about the grid of connection, or grid of connectivity, or I can't remember how she said it. As soon as she said that, I could see like a ton of little fibers coming out of my fingers and my body, and those fibers will connect to absolutely everything. It was like little fibers, and those fibers were alive, and you could feel the sensation of every single one of those. So when she asked about that, and she asked, okay, so how can she bring healing and things like that. So and guys, this is really hard to explain, but I'm gonna try to show you, or talk to you about what I saw. So I saw those fibers of connectivity going from one, like one person to another, or from a person to a plant, or whatever is alive, or so it will go, and it transmit energy back and forth. So they said if she gets to understand how that connectivity goes, then uh, she understands that it's all one, and it's all connected, and in the healing, or whatever it is that needs to get done, it will happen, because it's it can start in one area, and then it transmits to the other. And then she asked about, this another thing, she asked about my sensitivity, because I when I'm around people, I tend to absorb some of their things. And then I went through a lot of years trying to figure this out until finally this year I kind of come into like a nice, okay, I, when I feel something and I understand that it's not mine, what to do with it and everything. And if you're interested about this, I recently made a video about this topic, and I can't remember the name of it, but I'm gonna pin it out so you can look it up at your own time. And it talks about observing people's energies and what to do with them, and because it took me a while to realize what I realized. So I finally made a video of it because I want to help other people. Maybe it might help you if you're getting that sensations from other people and observing feelings. So she asked about that, and then I could see the fibers, like kind of like opening it up. And then they said, okay, if she understands the connection, then she can understand that she can pick the ones that she wants to focus her mind on. And I was like, oh my God, this is like incredible, because it is true. Like I could, have all these connections with other people, but I can just simply, focus my mind on the one that I want, not maybe the negative, or the negativity that this person might be reflecting at this moment. So, oh my God, it's like so much. And then what else? I don't want to leave anything out, and I really want to make this video all together. But I talk about the connectivities and how I lived those lives, in isolation basically, and now my plan for this life is to be out there and engage with others. And yes, I have been called to do that. I'm actually starting to become a yoga instructor and a meditation facilitator, and also I want to do retreats, with people, go to Costa Rica and do retreats, and I want to have this connection, not in a way that is beneficial for one person, but beneficial for both, and also have deeper connections. So a lot of my friends, that I had are now no longer my friends. I'm not interested in the same topics. I'm not interested in the same things. And the connections that I want to have are more in-depth connections, like in the people that are needed in my life has come, and I know that it's a transformation in progress. So I'm really, I'm still trying to absorb a lot of this therapy session and everything that went through. So if you have any experience with this in the past and would like to share, I'd love to hear from you on the comments section. If you want to connect with me, you can. I'm gonna also leave my email at the bottom, and I can see if I can help you with anything. If you want me to create a meditation specifically for something, I can do that also. I've done it for other people that I know, and to help them overcome certain things in their life. So if anything else come out, then I'll probably add it on a separate video and add it to this video and see if if everything comes together, so that you can listen to it all at once. But okay, people, I knew that I didn't cover everything as I was recalling all the information from my session. So I wanted to add this piece of video to the original video to complement the rest of the stuff, as I was writing down some notes. And just to let you know, I still haven't finished the whole listening to the whole session. I really have to listen to it in parts, because I'm so glad I started this video on Sunday when everything was so fresh in my mind, because now some of the things that I hear, I'm like, oh my God, like I don't remember that. So yes, so okay. Another thing that she asked was about the seizures for my son, Rafael. And she was asking about like why did he get seizures, and if there's anything we can do about that. And Rafael gets seizures every once in a while. It's not like all the time, but I want to say maybe in a month, maybe he gets a couple seizures, or maybe 3 or 4. So depends on the month and everything that's happening around. And the answer was pretty interesting because the answer was that it happens when he's transitioning from one dimension to the other, and his body doesn't know or doesn't understand how to cope with that. So that's the reaction that the body has. So and then she asked a little bit more about it, like why does he have to transition from one dimension to another, like what's going on. Then the answer was that he brings information from other dimensions, and the information comes to my other voice, and as well as to Earth, and he's bringing frequencies with it that is needed on Earth right now. So through my experience, when I see him having seizures, is very interesting because and it, you see him that he kind of space out sometimes, and but it's not like he's having an absent seizure. It's just that he's here, but he's noticing and feeling something, because he starts smiling and he starts getting very happy, or you can see him even talking. He doesn't talk, but he makes like that, like sounds. And sometimes I'm like, and he's like fixed looking at something in the room or right next to him, and he turns around and he laughs, like something is making him laugh. So I know for a fact that he either sees or feel or hears other things, or all of the above. So the answer as far as the seizures had to do with him transitioning from one dimension to the other, and that to me like makes sense, put into a basic understanding. But of course this is a little more complex to understand, since we don't really have like a measuring tool or a way to kind of put this into a more scientific explanation, if that makes sense. And then another thing, and this one is huge, I'm gonna say it right now. Actually, I'm gonna leave for the end of this specific video, because I'm pretty sure I'm gonna make another video just to add on everything else that I missed from the first video. So I'm so sorry, like this is all in parts, but I really want to put this out there, and I want to make sure that everything is still fresh in my mind. So the one for Sunday was perfect, because I was like telling you everything, and I was still feeling like a little high, and I mean, like I was feeling all these things, and now the energies have kind of gradually settled, so I feel a little more grounded, and finally my headache is out. I don't feel the headache anymore. I don't feel like this heaviness over here. So is I feel very grounded now, and now that I'm listening to it, I'm like, oh, she asked about that, and like I'm like, wow, this is interesting. So she asked about the autism and on Gabriel, and why he's autistic, and does he really need it, and all this that kind of stuff. And the answer was that it is a misunderstanding, because he is a being that is highly intuitive, and he can hear, feel other things that normally a person would not. And he does it, he brings in frequencies, and he catches on frequencies that are around, and then she asked, well, that's a lot of a lot of frequencies, a lot of responsibility for a child to bring frequencies on Earth at this point that is needed. and their answer was like, yeah, well, they choose to because the planet needs it right now, but they're not the only ones. And I thought, okay, well, that's kind of interesting. So the way that they put it is that they are like antennas, and the Earth needs a lot of antennas right now, so that the frequency of Earth can level up. And then she asked if they're hybrid children, and the answer was yes, they're hybrid children. So yeah, and that was oh, and the last thing, the most important thing. So I previous to this, and this I have to give a little explanation. So this starting this year, I started getting a lot of I started getting a lot of messages in my feed. I like YouTube, and I have a lot of spiritual and metaphysics stuff on YouTube. So, and I get a lot of, not a lot, but some very selective pics that I have of mediums that I follow. But for some reason, I started getting stuff about dragons, and I never, really searched anything about dragons. I have done a dragon drawing in the past, and I always thought it was fascinating. They were fascinating beings, but I never really cared to learn anything about dragons until like it started coming in my feed, and I was like interested in some people like, you know, transmitting messages from dragons or having dragon energy updates or dragon meditations and things like that. So I thought, okay, well, that's interesting. But I didn't pay much attention to it, but it kept coming more and more. And then this past month, towards the Lionsgate, during the summer, I had such a hard time trying to like really focus my energies and continue with my meditation practices and everything. But once the Lionsgate portal happened this year, then everything went back to normal, and my energies, kind of like settled down, and I was able to start focusing on this. And then again, I started getting messages about dragons, and I was like, well, this is interesting now. Dragons come around again. So I got this intuitive message that I needed to make a dragon meditation. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. And then it needed to happen during the lunar eclipse that happened on the, I believe it was September 17 or something like that. It's on my channel. So if you want to see that meditation, you can go and look for it. And so I needed to have the meditation ready for that day. So it's ready for the lunar eclipse, right? So I went ahead and I put it all together, and I had some kind of like trouble trying to put the meditation together. I had it all ready and everything, and my system was giving me issues because I didn't have space. And then I did a software update, and the update wasn't taking it, and it was just like this thing. So I ended up posting the video like maybe around 10 or 11 p.m. And I was like, gosh, I wanted this to be there earlier, but I know things happen for a reason, but it's out there, right? So I was very excited. I was like, okay, and I went ahead and I put a picture of 3 dragons, that they are all together on my WhatsApp. And this therapist, she asked me about it. She said, oh, so what is that picture of the dragons and everything? So I sort of explained it to her, like, yes, and I did this meditation, this and that. Okay, So that was the explanation before I tell you what happened. So she asked about, the dragons and what's up with the dragons, right? And the answer was very, very interesting, because they said that I was with dragons in another life, and I could see myself but it was like not my body. It was a different body. It was a woman, and I have very long hair, and it was like silver, like really silver white, and very long. And I had dragons around me, and they were not. And this I'm gonna tell you because this is the feeling of it. Like they were not pets. You know, they were not like you would treat a dog or a cat, or they were like companions, like protectors and companions. And so it was not a dependent situation, where I needed to feed them and take care of them. No, it was totally independent, but they were like, it was a companionship. So has I was talking, and now I have to go back to the video and recall everything that I said, because I don't remember. But I remember saying that the kids, my triplets, they have dragon energy in them, and they were dragons in the past. And I was like, oh, this is interesting, because I, when this energy of the dragon started coming around, I started reading. I read just a little bit about them, and the colors and what it means and all this stuff, and I can see a lot of the traits in them. So this was very interesting, and I was like, oh my God, they have the energy of the dragons. That's interesting. And one thing is that was very clear to me is that I'm not their protector. I'm here just to facilitate healing and companionship, but I'm not their protector. They don't need me as a protector. They're actually here to protect me and protect others. So, and it sounds very silly because, of course, in our eyes, physical eyes, we say, well, they're super vulnerable. But I think there is something higher in there, that they have more power than what we do in acknowledge. Okay, so yes, that was the add-on. And I wanted to kind of go over that with you guys, and I know I'll probably add a little more as I go through the video, and I mean through the recording and kind of recalling stuff. Okay, so thanks so much for bearing with me about this. For now, I will leave you, and I thank you for staying with me this long. I hope that this experience helps you, and just keep building your own path. There's no real or one way to to get to where we are going. Is your own path, and it doesn't matter if you feel like you have made mistakes, or if you're going the wrong way, because there's really no mistakes or wrong ways. It's just learning experiences, and the way that you see things will affect the outcome of it. So I thank you so much, and I hope this was helpful to you. Namaste.